On December 24th, 2022, Playboi Carti fans would rejoice, as it seemed as if Carti was finally starting the rollout of his long-delayed, highly anticipated album. First called Narcissist, allegedly now being called Music, Playboi Carti's follow-up to 2020's Whole Lotta Red is likely one of the most highly anticipated records in the music world right now. From arrests, to ghosting Lil Uzi Vert, and even trapping his label members in a cage and performing on top of them, it has been a wild ride since I last covered Carti's activity in the lead up to this upcoming album. The craziest part is, Carti's barely been active on social media in the public eye in this time, but the brief bits of information we do have are fascinating. Becoming one of the most polarizing enigmas in the current music landscape, Playboi Carti has teased fans for over 2 years regarding this album. And while we know next to nothing about it, Carti premiering some new tracks at festivals as well as embarking on a tour pretty soon here in the fall hint to the idea of this record at least being in the works. While I, like many others, am personally not getting my hopes up, not expecting this thing to drop anytime soon, let's recap everything that has happened from Carti first teasing this thing back on Christmas Eve last year and detail everything we know about music. I suppose it's best to start where we last left off. Christmas Eve 2022, December 24th, Carti returns to Instagram, to Twitter. He posts on Instagram, on his stories, those audio files as if they're new tracks he's working on. He also posted that picture of the model in the mirror taking the picture. That could be an album cover of sorts. But the biggest news of them all was how he tweeted out on that day, "Thank you to all my supporters, it's time." So we're all like, fuck yeah, we're getting some new music, let's go. And then nothing happens. You even had that academic stream where he was like, Carti's gonna drop within the first quarter of 2023. Obviously, that didn't happen, and now with hindsight, we understand why. Carti would be arrested on Christmas. I guess his girl came to him with a paternity test and she was pregnant, and Carti would be pissed off about this. There was a physical altercation. She tried to run away, called the cops, and long story short, Carti ended up choking her. And that would obviously lead to his arrest, and just, man, another reminder, as much as we love this guy's music, man. Before the arrest, allegedly the plan was for the album to release on January 13th. The source here is Heaven or Hell on Discord. It's a leaker. And allegedly Carti was sending the album around at this point in time in late December and even had some listening sessions. The arrest obviously ended all those plans. Carti's mindset changed and music obviously was not a priority, and we would undergo that period of silence. Carti's arrest wouldn't really be known to the public for a minute though. And all we knew was that he hyped up all this shit on social media like he was rolling out an album, and then complete silence. The next time we would see any trace of him on social media would be on Lil Goddard's Instagram story on February 20th, where Carti was seen on FaceTime with Goddard, and the caption was that Carti was Pope living, basically shouting out and showing respect to Lil Keed. But it is time now to introduce a very important character. He was important, he's kind of disappeared now for this new Carti album timeline, and that is DJ Swamp Izzo. Swamp Izzo is a DJ who has toured with Lil Wayne, Drake, Nicki Minaj, all the Young Money artists, and he's worked with Young Thug, Future, and many other artists. So how the fucking blue this guy does an interview with Voices of the Street Unfiltered, where he drops the information that he has an album with Playboi Carti that is releasing very soon, because not only is this record real, it exists between him and Carti, but also it's completely finished.
Let me give you a world premiere right now.
We're gonna have to drop this. We're gonna have to put this out.
Swamp Izzo, Playboi Carti album is done.
Oh!
I'm gonna give that to world premiere. Swamp Izzo and Playboi Carti's album is done.
Along with that big information, Izzo also said that he has a date, yet he is not going to announce it to the public. So first instinct as Carti fans, we're like, this is some bullshit, this is not happening. And a lot of people were saying that this guy was just capping, but Izzo would post to Instagram proving his validity, a picture of himself in the studio with Playboi Carti. And basically with this guy being a DJ, I'm thinking that a collab album between him and Carti would be kind of like how DJ Drama was on Call Me If You Get Lost. He's coming in on the songs, he's doing interludes, he's doing intro lines and everything. He's coming in, hyping up shit before and in between Carti's verses. All this was going on in late February, and about a week later, on March 4th, Playboi Carti comes out of hiding, and he performs at Rolling Loud, California. The thought process that fans had following Carti returning to social media in winter and saying, "Thanks to all my supporters, it's time," was that, hey, this guy's been performing this Whole Lotta Red set list for how long now? Rolling Loud, California coming up in March. He's got January, where he's just teasing this stuff, to March, about 3 months to roll out this album and put it out. We're here at this show. He's going to drop new music and perform it for the first time. Obviously, that did not happen. And as disappointing as that is, we would get to hear one new track as Carti would walk out at this show to a new song. Carti would start his set list off with a brand new track that fans are calling Rockstar. Got that guitar instrumental lining up with Carti's recent aesthetic. Also, Swamp Izzo on the intro of the track, proving his validity, proving that he is a valid source. And you got your usual Carti lyrical content, and it's just a hype-ass track that was a vibe. So now we're like, damn, this Izzo dude was right. Like, we're getting this album pretty damn soon. If only we knew. Interesting thing, too, about that track, allegedly, according to Opium Baby, who helped found Opium, this shit literally was made hours before the show, which is crazy. You hear about, like, most of Whole Lotta Red being made 2 weeks before the album dropped. Makes you wonder why the hell this guy makes us wait so long. But the day after this performance on March 5th, we would get even more info regarding this new Carti record that was allegedly on the way, as Uzi Rare Updates, a Lil Uzi Vert fan page, would DM DJ Swamp Izzo, and Izzo would provide this guy with a lot of information. Uzi Rare Updates is that one fan page that was dissed by Uzi on Pink Tape, and he just kind of shot Izzo some questions, and he was answering, like, legitimately, which is pretty dope. Apparently, Carti and Izzo were fans of each other for a long time, so they have that mutual respect, and one night Carti called Izzo, and Izzo was like, you know what, it's time to just do this album. Uzi Rare Updates would also ask about the sound of this upcoming record, to which Izzo would say that it was one for the day one fans, and Uzi Rare Updates was like, yo, is this like his older sound, 2015 to 2018? And Izzo said, yeah, we're going back to that. Now, obviously, the track we just heard, Rockstar, at Rolling Loud, contradicts that. So Uzi Rare Updates asked, and Izzo was like, well, that was a track that was made pretty quickly just to get the fans hype and everything. It is going to be on the album, though. Izzo also said that he talks on every song on this record, at least the iteration that he was having access to here at this point in time. So I'm thinking it was more of that DJ drama, Call Me If You Get Lost style I was talking about earlier. Izzo also would clarify that this wasn't music, this wasn't Narcissist, this was a brand new album. And they hadn't come up with a name yet. He said there was a couple floating around, but none were set in stone. But the album's title would be revealed in 2 weeks. Now, Opium Baby, who I just referred to regarding Rockstar being made in like hours before the show, he had in his Twitter bio a date. It was June 16th, 2023. So Uzi Rare Updates sent that over to Izzo and was like, yo, is this the release date? And Izzo said no, the album was dropping before that date. Izzo also would say that the project was about 25 tracks long at this point in time, but obviously this was what the plan was, what was being worked on in March of 2023. It is now August. Who knows if this style, this concept, is what still is in the works right now. My thoughts personally are that Izzo will maybe be on a few tracks that we eventually get on that new record if it ever comes out. Maybe some tracks from this era will make it through to an official release, but honestly, who knows? We get some more news about Carti during this time from Filthy, who obviously is a producer, worked with Carti on Whole Lotta Red, works with a lot of the Opium guys, and he would basically say that he was the executive producer for this upcoming Carti album. He would also say that the sound on this new Carti album was completely different from anything that Carti had done previously, which kind of contradicts Izzo's statement earlier about it being for the day one fans, 2015 to 2018 style, but who knows? That kind of vague statement up there. Honestly, vague statement from both of these guys. But following all this, Izzo's giving off all this information. We just heard that new track at Rolling Loud. He says even too that the album's title, the name's going to be revealed in just 2 weeks. We would get nothing. 3 months after all this goes down with Izzo, The Weeknd would release a song with Playboi Carti called Popular, which also featured Madonna. So we're all like, damn, we had that silent period, but maybe this is like a feature to kickstart the rollout. Carti's etching himself back in the public, And then The Weeknd comes out in an interview talking about the record and is like, yeah, these Carti vocals are like from years ago. I just reused them and he allowed me to and gave me the stamp of approval. And the feature's like 12 seconds. We literally can never win. But Carti giving his stamp of approval for a song's release would not be the case for Kid Cudi. Around this time, he's talking about his new album coming out. And it's been a rough few years for Kid Cudi following the whole Kanye beef. Basically, at the end of 2022, he would premiere a song he had with Playboi Carti that was made around the time of A Whole Lotta Red, called Solo Dolo Part 4. And it is a crazy good song. It's actually really fucking fire. But a fan would basically say, as he's talking about his new album, like, yo, Solo Dolo Part 4 gonna be on there? To which Cudi would say, no, Carti will not approve the feature. I know people have mixed feelings for Cudi nowadays, especially with how corny he is sometimes, but man, the song sounded so good. But after disappearing for about 3 months, Carti randomly returns to social media, goes back on Instagram, and posts a picture of NBA YoungBoy on his story on June 12th. This came hours after a jewelry company made a post about a chain that Carti had made for YoungBoy. Caption of the post read, Carti gifts YoungBoy a chain ahead of their new collab album. Now, when the jewelry company first posted that, most people were like, okay, this is some bullshit, but Carti posting YoungBoy on his story was almost like him confirming this information, or at least it seemed that way. But, you know, I'm not even going to sit here and waste my time theorizing about this, because even if this actually was in the works at this point in time, which I'm on the side of this was never really a thing, this collab album, it's probably never going to even see the light of day anyway, even if it was in the works. And the following month for Carti fans would just be hella depressing. Later that month in June, some posters and billboards would appear over in Paris promoting music, saying, how bad do you want it? Kind of teasing like, oh shit, the rollout's starting, Carti put this shit out there, and then we figure out it's fan-made. Who the hell would do that? Like, no, why? Carti would also perform at Summer Smash and play no new music. No updates, no nothing, and he would even stand up a Nardwuar interview. I mean, at least we got that picture of him driving up the expressway and the fans running after him. That's pretty fucking sick, but it's like, man, nothing. Shortly after Summer Smash, Lil Uzi Vert would drop their highly anticipated album, Pink Tape. And shockingly, Playboi Carti would not be featured on the record. We would soon learn after the release of this album that actually Carti was supposed to be on it, and there was some controversy behind his absence. Apparently, Carti was supposed to be on a track titled Rich Ass Bastard. His verse was done, Uzi's contributions to the track were done, everything was set 5 days before Pink Tape dropped. 5 days before the release, Carti hits up Uzi and says, you know what, no, I don't want my verse on this track. It doesn't fit my current aesthetic going forward. I don't want it on there. Does not give Uzi the approval. Both of them were at Summer Smash that same weekend, so Uzi reached out to Carti to link up and everything, and Carti just ghosted them. Then, hours before Pink Tape was supposed to drop, Carti hits up Uzi and is like, yo, send me a track, I'll do a verse right now, and I'll get it in. And Uzi's like, yo, it's too fucking late. Craziest part about all this was that track, Rich Ass Bastard, would actually be released to the public on YouTube. Someone on Uzi's team was supposed to upload the track Patience featuring Don Toliver, and they accidentally uploaded Rich Ass Bastard. Having heard it now, it's like kind of a mid track. I don't think we missed much with this not being officially on the album, but June was a pretty rough month, but things would actually begin to pick up for Carti news in July. On July 6th, Carti would perform at Rolling Loud Portugal, where he would preview a brand new track titled Pop Out. It's a crazy ass track. I actually prefer this one to Rockstar that we talked about earlier, and it starts out with this like AI woman voice that just says music, which leads me to believe that, hey, maybe this project that's coming up Carti's working on is called Music. The guitar riff's crazy on this one. I know Carti does, for a lot of his songs, the live guitars, but the guitar isn't on the official studio version. I hope to God the guitar is on the studio version if this track even ever drops on streaming. It wasn't the only notable thing about this performance, though. Carti would be very vulnerable with the fans in attendance and speak from the heart, talking about how he's an artist who creates music and that he is ready. Which you can only assume means that he's ready to drop some new shit. Carti would also thank fans for supporting Opium, which is his record label, with Destroy Lonely, Ken Carson, and Homicide Gang, which is unfortunately rare, but hopefully Carti starts mentioning them and promoting them more, as he should. This would start a very weird yet good trend of Carti being super nice to fans, you know, taking pictures with everybody that was waiting for him after this show, and some in the future as well. But on July 7th, fans would start spotting billboards in various cities of a Carti billboard that said antagonist. And Carti wasn't the only one on this thing. It was Carti, Lone, Homicide Gang, and Ken Carson, those previously mentioned members of Carti's label. And we didn't know exactly what this was for. It could have been a collab album of sorts, but we learned very soon, a few days after, that this was for an Opium tour, as tickets would go on sale on July 12th. A few weeks later, Carti would perform at Rolling Loud Miami, where he would again perform that track, Pop Out, but he would also play at an after show at some club, where he would legitimately perform on top of a cage, where inside the cage were the Opium members. The shit was just fucking hilarious. After the performance, some paparazzi would catch up to Carti and ask him when he was dropping some new music, to which Carti would give the very detailed answer of ASAP.
Hey Carti, when's music dropping? When's music dropping? Let us know. When's music?
ASAP.
Okay. Thank you, Carti.
Shockingly, we actually would get some new Carti music, as he would be a surprise feature on Travis Scott's album Utopia on the track Fiend. This track's a fucking banger. Throughout the entire thing, Carti is just repeating that word fiend, and his voice that he's doing it in is like reminiscent of kind of Die-Lit, self-titled style Carti. But then he gets into his verse here after some ad-libs, and it literally is so different from anything that he has ever done before that on the night Utopia dropped, people were like, no way, that's Carti. It was done all the way through in a very deep voice. Just insane, you know, and I like it. It's very different from anything he's ever done, but I really fuck with it, and I'm really looking forward to, you know, what this whole new project's gonna sound like. But Carti kind of used this feature here to introduce his new sound for this new era. It's very reminiscent of what he did about a month or so before Whole Lotta Red, when he featured on Lil Yachty's track Flex Up. And Carti would post on Instagram a few days after Utopia dropped, promoting this song. And he's kind of performing the verse a little bit, having some fun with it, but he would say something very interesting at the end of the video.
Believe that, new shit on the way, believe it.
If you didn't understand it fully, Carti said, new shit on the way, believe that. And I don't, unfortunately. Carti's just pulled this shit so many times to the point where, like, unless I'm on my third listen on my phone, I'm not believing this shit's dropping. By all accounts, it seems like we are pretty close to something happening, with Carti releasing some sort of new music, but I just don't got it in me anymore to be hopeful about this shit. You know, it's very clear with hindsight that the whole arrest situation definitely threw his album plans aside when that all went down in the wintertime. And Swamp Izzo's involvement, that guy was so vocal in February and March, and now he's dead quiet. I think it's pretty clear he's probably not involved anymore. But one thing that is for sure is that this tour is kicking off in September. And by all accounts, artists usually go on tour right after dropping a new album so they can perform those new tracks for fans, promote the record, etc. But if you remember, back in 2021, Carti said he was going to drop this new album, Narcissist, had the Narcissist tour set up, tickets went on sale, shows happened, they were just renamed, and Narcissist never released, obviously. While it is crazy that it really seems like Carti's about to go on yet another tour, performing these old Whole Lotta Red tracks with that same set list, it is cool that he is promoting Opium. I think most of the Carti fans who are hardcore, you know, enough to go to the shows anyway, are already kind of aware of the Opium members, but, you know, going out to these shows and seeing these guys open up are definitely going to get him more listeners. And even if Carti doesn't drop some new shit on streaming before the tour kicks off, which I think is definitely the most likely outcome here, he'll at least probably preview some new tracks at different stops of the tour, so I guess we could look forward to that. An album drop before the tour begins seems very unlikely. There's only 2 more Fridays before the first show, and while Die-Lit was a surprise release back in 2018, I don't think Carti would go for that type of rollout anymore. I will say, there is a Friday the 13th this year in October, so never say never, but at the same time, if this motherfucker drops the album after hitting the Chicago date, I'm gonna be pissed. And as usual as Playboi Carti fans, I think it's just best to keep our expectations low. The bar is legitimately in hell at this point, and I'm just going to try to enjoy this tour. And as we continue to get our hopes up for a new Carti project, I'm sure I'll be back here in another 6 months to detail all the bullshit that we have yet to experience.